Mercy Health System. For those of you that were here last month, welcome back. And for those of you that are here for the first time, we're glad you're here and glad that you want to be more informed and more engaged in our political process. We have two very insightful panelists today, both with unique experience that can speak well to part 2 of our Ready to Run series, Fundraising and Finance. You all should have bios on each of our panelists, but just to offer a quick overview, Mica Strother, in my opinion, is debatably one of the best, if not the best, political fundraisers in the state of Arkansas. During both of Governor Mike Beebe's races for governor, she served as his finance director. In 2006, she oversaw, this is just shocking to me, the record-breaking campaign fundraising $6.5 million with an additional $2 million for the Arkansas Democratic Coordinated Campaign effort. In 2010, for Governor Beebe's re-election efforts, she oversaw another $5 million in fundraising, so that's quite impressive. She currently serves as the Director of Appointments to Boards and Commissions for Governor Beebe, where she supervises the appointments process to approximately 350 state boards and commissions in Arkansas. So you can imagine her phone is probably just constantly ringing. She has worked as a political and public affairs consultant, as well as serving in various governmental offices for the last 17 years. Mica grew up not far from here in Mountain Home. She graduated from Ouachita Baptist University and earned her JD from ULR School of Law. Mica and her husband, Greg Hale, along with her son, Eli, live in Little Rock. So welcome, Mica. Our other very insightful panelist, Greg Hines. For those of you that are natives, know that Greg has made it no secret that his recent election to the mayor of Rogers has been his lifelong dream. Mayor Hines was sworn in as the mayor of Rogers on January 1st of this year. Prior to being elected as mayor, he has had a career in public service, becoming the youngest person ever elected to the Rogers City Council at age 22. There he served 10 years on the council, 12 years. He served 10 years in law enforcement, first as a Bentonville police officer and then as a criminal investigator for the Benton County Sheriff's Office. He was most recently in the position as Benton County's Public Safety Director. Greg has run for City Council, Benton County Judge, and most recently Mayor. The recent mayoral election was one of the most intense, interesting local races that I've certainly witnessed, with Mayor Hines obviously prevailing after a runoff against a recent 3rd Congressional District candidate, Kurt Maddox. Greg is married to Lisa Brunner Hines, and they have 2 daughters, Emily and Haley. So thank you both for being with us today. So let's start off, and we'll take a few minutes in hearing from our panelists on their perspectives on what makes an effective fundraiser. And Mayor, I'll let you go first.
Well, I'm curious why the person that was at the last meeting here that said he wanted to run for mayor of Rogers is not here this morning. But anyway, that's okay. I'll reach out to him on another time to give him some insightful information on that. As Martine said, you know, I've been involved in a number of political races from the first time I ran for city council at age 22. I was a new small business owner in the city, and it was the year that Congressman Womack decided to challenge a sitting mayor, John Sampier. Congressman Womack held the seat on the council that I ran for. Ironically enough, just as a trivia note, John Sampier held that seat just prior to becoming mayor. So Ward 4 position 2 is the seat to have if you're on the path to the mayor's office. But Steve and I were elected at the same time. In that race, I think I didn't take one contribution over $100 from anybody. Didn't contribute over $100. My policy's always been to never contribute any more of my personal funds than the highest donor. And I believe that, you know, while money is the driving force that fuels the outcome of elections, I think we can all agree with that. I really feel like if you're doing it for the right reasons, if the folks want you in office, then they will support you, and they do that by cutting checks and getting out and beating the pavement for you. So I think in that race I ended up spending it was a three-way race that I won without a runoff. I think we got 54% that night, and I want to say I spent about $3,500 or something like that, which was the most that had been spent in a council race in Rogers in 15 years. So that's an interesting perspective, and I say that to just sort of dial this down to the fact that we're talking with a rock star over here on a much higher level than what most of you in this room might be considering running for office in the future. I mean, we're looking at school boards, JPs, council members, maybe congressmen, but so on that scale. It's just to show you that to put those things into perspective, you've got to start out in kind of a reasonable realm. Now, this last race for mayor, it started out with a 5-man field. We decided to go all in on the general night, spin this down to 0, thinking we could probably had a potential to get there. I think we ended up at 46 or 7% that night, so we got close, but we didn't make it, and then had to turn around and raise additional dollars the next morning in order to make a successful race. And the real interesting thing is, one, it set a new record for fundraising for a mayor's race, which is not necessarily all that important to know because we don't have a lot of mayor's races in Rogers. I mean, 17 years between Sanpere and then 12 years for Womack. So it's not that we have a race every election cycle, but again, it set a new record, I believe, for Benton County executive office. I think prior to that, Sheriff Ferguson set the record at $70,000. We spent $74,000, I think, at the end of the day. But I was running against a self-financed candidate. And that presents very unique challenges that I think we've seen trends across the country from all levels of elective office over the number of years. Certainly some of the more prominent ones would be like the Ross Perot was kind of the first person to delve into the presidential cycle that's self-funded. Certainly right now we have Mitt Romney, who's now on his second. I mean, folks, I'm mad at a lot of things, but I'm not mad at my money. I'm pretty conservative with my money, but there's some folks really mad at their money out there. So, but that was something that I mean, that's a challenge that you really it was pretty intimidating to think. I've got a candidate here, or an opponent that just spent $174,000 of their own money in a failed attempt to run for Congress, and now they're packing up, moving to town, and running against me, and who knows what what they're capable of spending. So we knew that an aggressive fundraising effort was imperative for success, regardless where our credentials stacked up or where our positions stacked up. Money makes a difference, and so because of that, I don't think I would have raised quite the dollars that I did if I had not had an opponent that made it easier for me to raise dollars from local folks and local businesses that understood the importance of the outcome of the election. I think that helped in a lot of ways. The ask is difficult. Not many of us are born with sort of that natural instinct to go out and ask for dollars. I'm very uncomfortable with it, but I did the smart thing, which I would tell any of you that are going to run for any public office, whether it's school board or governor. You have to hire a firm, somebody that knows what they're doing in elections. I ended up with the Markham Group, which I have some ties to, which I'm sure she'll speak about. But I have a childhood friend that I grew up with in Rogers that is a founding partner in the Markham Group, which is a political strategy firm in Little Rock and